Hello everybody, I'm going to show you how to create multiple animations based on the weapon that you pick up in a inventory system blueprint from the marketplace. So in order, what you need to do, prerequisite, is to have multiple animations that you want to switch on based on what weapon you pick up. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to create a player stance enumeration, and I have set my unarmed to the first one, meaning when you get into the world and if you don't have a weapon, you want your stance to be what you'd have with no item in the game, or in your inventory rather. So I've set up my various enumerators, and so after that you're going to want to go into your equipment character. Now this is important that we put it in this one and not the inventory player character, as you'll see why in a little bit. So we go into there, add a variable that you just created of the enumeration type, give it a name that you can remember. I called mine stance, and you're going to want to set its replication to rep notify. Also, make sure the default value of this variable is set to the default state of when you have no item in your inventory. Then after you have that in there, we're going to go into the inventory item, and what we'll do is we'll go into the inventory, go into the inventory item. Here we're going to click this new variable, add the player stance, and also set this player stance to what you want it to be when you have no item. After the inventory item is saved and compiled, everything is good, we're going to go into the equipment inventory component, and that is in your inventory systems, blueprints, components, right here. So what you're going to want to do is go to the equipped meshes, and that will take you here. And so basically this will look exactly the same, except it won't have this little bottom part. And so basically off the main hand, after this, we're going to set rep notify our stance variable from our equipment character reference up here. Now that is important that we added the stance variable into the equipment character, not the inventory equipment character. Make sure it was in the equipment character, because we're going to rep notify that variable in that one and not the inventory one. Then all we do is this should just automatically update with the player stance enum variable down here. You'll drag off this and you'll say your stance or whatever you called it, you're gonna set it. It'll automatically say set with notify because it's a rep with notify, and you plug that in, set it to the main hand mesh afterwards, and then compile that, save that. Then what we're gonna need to do is we're basically done, but all we need to do now is to go into our animations. And so I have these various blend spaces that I've pre-created, and I have this animation blueprint. So I'm going to go into the animation blueprint, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create some variables. I'm going to create, the first one is a player stance variable. You don't have to do this, but I would recommend creating the stance variable because it'll allow you to use the stance information later on. You'll go through this and you'll see stance variable and a blend space variable. We're going to create a blend space variable, and make it sure that it's the same type as what you've created. So if you created 2D blend spaces, make sure you make a 2D blend space variable, set it to the default value of when you do not have an item in your inventory, and then before all of this stuff, you're going to try get pawn owner. If it's valid, cast to the equipment character, get its stance, set its stance, and set your variable for stance, and then switch on that variable. And then you're going to set the blend space variable to what blend space you want your idle lock run blend space to be. Now what this doesn't cover is adding slot based animations over top of these, but that will be very easy later on, because you can reference that stance variable and you'll be able to play the appropriate animations to your slot. So you set all that, set all those blend space variables. After into the state machine we go. So in your locomotion, a good idea is to just add a default group for a slot. So in case you ever want to, you know, play an animontage later, you can easily. And that you just go down here, click the magnifying glass, add a slot, and then bam, Bob's your uncle. So this locomotion graph will go in here, and in your idle run space, what you're going to do is you're just going to grab that blend space variable and put it in here, and then in this you're just going to tick this blend space as a pin, and then you select the blend space that you'd like to play, and that is literally it. That's all you have to do. One thing that I forgot to mention is that in your items, your item list, you're going all the items that exist, not all of them, none of them will actually have to be updated, only the ones that you want to specifically dictate what stance you want. So if it's a main hand weapon, then you're going to need to go and change the stance based on what it is. So for example, there's a magic wand and it's an equipment weapon and it goes in your main hand, and you want the stance to be magic, obviously. So I just wanted to mention that as well. And so here, well, I'll save all. I'll play real quick. And so you can see already that I spawned with a one-handed weapon, and I have the one-handed stance going on. And actually, if I go into here, you can see that this is the one-handed animation. Let me tap back to that, and here I'll pick up simple axe, and I'll pick up the two-hand, and I'll pick up the. They all work. I just trying to find the. Oh, that's right. Just that one and that one. So I will. Actually, I'm gonna pop that open so I can see my inventory. Put the two-hand on there. Got the two-hand animation going. I don't obviously have art yet, and you can see that the socket is off and the animations are off. That's actually because I have to fix my animations. But you can see as you equip different items, see this one, this animation plays it different than this one. You can see even the equipment characters themselves actually automatically update too. So pretty neat and very easy.